Hello everyone, I have with me tonight Hillary Swain, Brittany Harriet. They are both nurses. Brittany is a nurse here in Washington. Hillary is a nurse in Greenville. And I wanted to do an interview with them just to kind of see what they were doing with this coronavirus pandemic stuff that's going on. And both of them have been serving on the front lines in different ways. Both of them do different jobs. And so I just want to kind of talk to them and see what was going on in their life, how things were affecting them. And so it's good to have you guys. I'm glad you're here. Are you nervous? Yeah. Yes?
A little bit.
All of a sudden now they're quiet because I'm asking them questions, so it's funny. So thank you guys for sitting down with me. Thank you for what you do. Both of them attend our church, and so it's neat to have healthcare workers that are on the front lines that are part of our church that we can pray specifically for, that we can interview and talk to. So I'm going to ask them some questions, and I just want to thank you guys both for working in the hospital. I know it's tough. It ain't easy. I know that for a fact, having a daughter that does it, wife that does it, it's not always easy. So your job, your field of work is near to me because it's in my family. So I want to thank you guys. So first thing I want to ask you guys about is just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at the hospital. Why are you a nurse in the first place? Why? What is it about nursing that you love, or why do you keep going back every week? It could be just for the money. It could be for other things, but just tell us a little about it. And I think we're going to start Hillary. So Hillary, you kind of start us off with, why are you a nurse? Why do you do these things that you do?
Okay, so I've been a nurse just about 6 years. June makes 6 years that I've been working as a nurse. I really didn't want to be a nurse growing up. I was like, my mom's a nurse. I'm never going to do that. It's really nasty. It's super gross. But then in 2012, my oldest daughter died, and she was born with some issues. She was born premature, so she spent 5 days in the hospital in neonatal intensive care unit, and that's where she died. So I had been accepted into nursing school to start right after that, and I was like, no, I'm not, I can't ever step foot back in the hospital again. Like, I don't want to drive past the hospital. But I had some friends really encouraged me. They said, just go, if you can't do it, you can always just quit. So I went, and I kind of finished for her. I finished the program and became a neonatal nurse in the NICU. And I went to the unit where she died, and I worked there for about a year, and also worked at a facility with some children that were NICU graduates, as they call it, that had been born premature. So they were really near and dear to me, and I just grew so close with those kids because I was like, this could have, this was kind of the same situation that my daughter was in. So I ended up kind of moving on from that after 3 years of doing all that, now to the emergency department, which is a love in a different way.
Okay, why is the emergency room a love in a different way? I understand the one about the kids being related with you and what you went through, but why is the emergency room a different love?
People ask that all the time. They're like, how did you go from kids to working with adults in the emergency department? But I love the chaos of it, which sounds insane, but I love just being there right when things happen. You can't plan for it. None of it you can really plan for. It just happens. So you get to rely on just kind of your intuition, and I mean, people really need you in that moment. So you get to just be right there. The doctors aren't always right there, and you really get to make judgment calls a lot, and kind of tell those new fresh out of school doctors hey, I don't think you should do that. I think you might want to reevaluate this. And so I don't think people kind of really understand what it's like in a trauma situation or with those really critical patients, but it's all behind the scenes. But it's really nice to be there and know these people, it's life or death a lot of times. So
all right, Brittany, so what do you do? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it?
So I don't have a big story like that, but so I had my oldest child young before I got my nursing degree. And he was really what drove me to a career in general, to go to school and to make something of myself. And my parents were always like, try nursing, just try nursing. You might like it, you might like it. Initially too, I was like, I don't want to do nursing. I don't know what I want to do. But I did. I went to nursing school. I enjoyed nursing school. And then I started my career off on MIU over in Greenville at Vidant Medical Center. And I was there for about a year, and they were primary respiratory patients, vents and trachs. And I enjoyed that. And then I transferred over to Beaufort to the medical unit, which is not an intermediate unit. It's more of a general, but it's our telemetry floor. And so I transferred over here when we were planning to have our second child because the commute, just all of it was easier. And I ended up really loving the small community hospital. Everyone in the hospital knows everybody. The president of the hospital knows everyone's name. I mean, I loved the hometown, like, small feel, and that's what's kept me here. I do love my job. I love everyone I work with. I do love taking care of people. I just like people, so that helps a lot. And I don't know. I know I don't want to work with kids. I don't want to work with kids, but
Working with kids could be tough, I think.
that's a special person that can work with kids. But.
Yeah, I think so too. So, Hillary, you have worked some directly with patients that have gone through this COVID stuff. How has that been, and what is it like for you as a mother of 3 beautiful girls? What is that like for you? You know, is it scary? Is it weird? Is it exciting? You know, what are emotions that go through you as a mother and as a nurse?
It's definitely scary. You don't want to bring anything home to your children. So we're exposed to a lot of stuff, even when there's not like a global pandemic going on. But of course the germs worry me. And my youngest actually came down with a fever yesterday. And my first thought was, oh my goodness, you know, she was sick all day. And I'm like, oh no, she has coronavirus, you know, freaking out about it. So she's feeling better today, which is good. But it's always scary. I try to leave my shoes at the door, or outside of the door, not track anything in the house. I'm trying to wash my hands a lot, which we do anyway. So it's definitely scary for everybody. For my parents, they're older. Don't tell them I said that, but they're older, so they're at risk of being, you know, exposed to this and not doing quite as well as someone younger.
Right.
So.
Well, that's true. I understand that too. My father lives a couple blocks from me. He's older, and I'm out doing things like this more, and so I'm trying to avoid him. And yeah, it's kind of weird, crazy time. What about you, Brittany? You got 2 boys at home, young boys. How's it like for you as a nurse? Because I know you're working. You said something about earlier your floor that you work on now is kind of the COVID floor at the hospital now.
So we've completely revamped our entire unit for strictly COVID and COVID rule out patients. So if you come through the emergency room and they swab you or do the test for you, you'll come to our floor and we'll take care of you. Once you rule out negative, then you get transferred to a different floor. So we are strictly trying to keep the germs kind of contained. We're trying to keep it all right there. Now, our ICU also takes the vented patients, people that have to be intubated if it's bad enough, of course. We've prepared our floor to also take 4 vented patients. So also we have portable ventilators on our floor that we've put there that we're ready for worst case scenario, of course. But bringing it home is always a fear. My parents, my kids, like she said, everything comes off at the door, goes straight to the laundry, you know, straight to the shower before I go pick up my kids from my parents. So I'm just trying to keep everything at work, stay clean. We've even had some nurses that come to work in their scrubs and then they leave the floor, and once they leave the floor they change into home clothes and bundle up their scrubs, and that way they don't even put their scrubs in their car, which it seems kind of to be happening now more and more, which is probably how we're all going to end up being. Our hospital's even considering letting us check out surgical scrubs, so we don't even have to bring our own clothes to work.
Yeah.
So, which would be nice, but we'll see.
So does all this stuff that's going on now, I know being a nurse can be nerve-wracking anyway, because it's life and death situations a lot. But does this stuff that's going on now, does it add any more nervousness to either of you guys?
Oh yeah.
Like how?
It's from what we understand, which again, a lot of people don't understand a lot about what's happening right now about this virus. I mean, is it airborne? Do I have to cough on you? How is it spread? So that's scary too. And you can walk around with no symptoms, and that's the point in, the self-quarantine. It just makes it a little scarier because anyone could walk past you and you don't even realize it. I mean, our patients could be in the hospital with the flu, and once they rule out for the flu, we don't check them for COVID because they have the flu. But what if they have that too, and then we don't know?
What about getting into the hospital, Hillary? I know right now as a pastor, I can't even go to the hospital to visit someone. They don't let you in. Like if you're taking someone to the hospital that's sick, you drop them off, they take them in, you can't go in there with them. So how do you as a nurse, how do you get in?
So they have special entrances over there in Greenville. They have designated, I think, 3 different doors that are employee entrances. So they have people there that they call screeners, and they ask you about 12 questions before you can walk by. Do you have a cough? Do you have a fever? Do you have shortness of breath? The other day they asked me, have I had a change in taste or smell? And I was like, this is new. So, and I kind of wanted to hide my allergies because I didn't know if they were going to let me in. So I've been sneezing a little bit.
Yeah, this is a tough time because, all the allergies going on right now with the pollen and stuff. I have allergies to some of that stuff, and if I sneeze or cough, I'm thinking right away, oh no, I got the coronavirus, and then, or people around me are looking at me crazy like, oh, he just sneezed, he's gonna get us all sick, and a lot of it's just the pollen for me anyway, but
yeah,
what else?
They check your temperature, and if it's under 100, I guess they just let you in. So, but the patients can't have any visitors with them, which has probably been one of the hardest things. In the emergency department, if someone brings you, they have to drop you off there, and it's been pretty sad because I've had some really sick patients that were on the brink of of the end, possibly, potentially, with or without COVID. I mean,
right.
There are still people that have other things going on, and they couldn't have family there with them, and so we try to keep the family updated, call them. The doctors are trying to be diligent about calling people's family and letting them know what's going on, because the units upstairs will absolutely not let anyone in at all, no visitors.
Now, as a nurse, you work in that one unit, can you wander through the hospital to somewhere else? Or do they stop you from going somewhere else too?
So in the emergency department, we have to take our patients to wherever they're going to end up. If they're not discharged home, they may get admitted to the heart center. So myself or a patient transporter has to physically take them to that unit. So it could be the cancer center, it could be somewhere in the North Tower. So I'm walking through the hospital all the time. We have to wear a mask and put a mask on the patient. But it's like a ghost town as far as usually there's family and people's friends roaming all through the halls, and right now it's just patients and staff members.
Wow. How's it doing? What are they doing here in Washington? Same type of thing?
So it's the same. We have 2 entrances that we can enter through. And immediately, same questions, check your temperature, same everything. They immediately give you a mask, and your day starts out and ends with a mask on your face. And that's kind of, along with the patients not being able to see their families, they don't get to see our face either, which is kind of sad too, So
maybe not. I don't know. We can't wear makeup, so maybe not.
Yeah, we can't wear makeup
Okay.
anymore.
All right. So tell me about this. You texted me yesterday and you mentioned this a hashtag makeup free for ENC and hashtag facial hair free for ENC. What does that mean? What is that about? What is that?
So the mask, the surgical masks, they are trying to sanitize right now. They have special trash cans with special trash bags that after, not patients, but staff members, after you take them off for the day, as you're walking out, the one that you've had on all day, pretty much gets thrown into the trash can, and they're attempting to sanitize them, because if we do run out of masks, they are going to use this. We're gonna have to use the sanitized ones.
They're gonna try to recycle them.
They're recycling them. Right now, we're still using brand new masks out of the box. But in the case, like in New York and places that have run out of personal protective equipment, they're trying to at least have something for us. So they've done some research at Duke or ECU or somewhere where they've shown that the heat or whatever sanitizes the mask and kills the germs. So hopefully we won't get there, but the makeup.
Yeah, so what's the makeup and the hair-free
makeup
thing? What's that got to do with it?
Inhibit the sanitation and the sanitizing process. So they're saying if you have all this makeup on or facial hair,
They're calling those soiled.
yeah, they're not
They're,
able to
they're
sanitize
considering them
them.
soiled because they have makeup on them or your hair. So I don't know if y'all have already gotten there. All the men in our hospital have shaved their face.
Oh, wow.
We had a handful of men with beards, and everyone is clean faced. Looks like we got a bunch of 12-year-old nurses.
Is it now? How receptive were they of shaving these beards? Because I know beards can take a while to grow. Or I mean, were they like, "Hey, we'll do it because it can grow back"?
Yeah,
so.
Ours were. I don't know about y'all's, but ours were really. They were like, whatever we need to do right now. You know, like I said, small hometown hospital. Everybody is all in. So
Some of the doctors haven't wanted to shave, but those N95 masks, they fit really snug over your face. So I think not necessarily for the facial hair free for ENC, but just for their own safety, they want to try to keep the germs at a minimum and make sure that their N95 mask fits and is sealed to their face so that they don't get sick. So a lot of them wanted to do that just for their own safety.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so tell me, how are the patients, the ones that you have dealt with maybe that have had this coronavirus, how are they dealing with it? Are they like scared to death? Are they dealing with it okay? How are they doing? You know, I mentioned earlier, I don't want you to break any rules about telling me anything, but how are they doing? How are they feeling about all the stuff that they're going through?
from an inpatient standpoint, you know, a lot of them are dealing with the being sick in general and the fear of the unknown, because we don't have all the answers that they want. And along with that, they don't have their family with them. They're completely alone with nurses and doctors and care partners. And I mean, even our housekeeping staff is great, but with all of us that are just us that they don't know. And so with the fear of not knowing what's going to happen, a lot of them can't breathe. They have no one there. And they're holding the hand of a nurse that is fully gowned, fully gloved, hair, mask. All they can see are our eyes. And just hoping that they can find comfort in us. I don't know about an ED standpoint, but I mean, when we're spending days and days with these people, and you do grow to get to know them when they're there for a while.
Right.
But it's still not the same as your family.
Yeah. It's pretty scary for them. Even patients who aren't showing a whole lot of really bad symptoms, they're scared and they don't know what's going to happen if they have it, if they don't have it. So it's scary.
So as medical professionals, what are you guys doing? You know, maybe you guys specifically, maybe the people in your unit, what are you guys doing to help patients during this time? Like, to make it through this time? I mean, like you said, they can only see your eyes. Are you making, are you trying to calm their nerves? What are you doing to calm their nerves? What are you doing to show them love?
So a lot of what we're doing is really just try to have open communication and transparency. Try not to hide anything from them. Like, hey, this is what we know. We're gonna just be encouraging. We're gonna do everything we can, and just be there. Just try to be supportive. Like I was telling you earlier, I've prayed with patients before. I had a patient ask me if I was a pastor. I was like, no. But I mean, I guess just trying to show love and show God through everything, just that there is still hope, even when the whole world is making this sound completely hopeless.
Right.
Okay,
so speaking of that, what advice would you give to those people who may be watching who think that this is still just kind of an overreaction. It's not a big deal. It's just something that the government is making up, or this or that. What kind of advice would you give to those kind of people?
It's definitely not made up, because trust me, I'm not in on some big joke. It's definitely not made up. I have travel nurse friends who have traveled to Greenville to my hospital and are now on an assignment in New York, and it's real and it's scary. Don't freak out. Don't go buy all the toilet paper, but definitely stay home and try to limit your exposure. Don't wear gloves everywhere because that just spreads the germs. But
Okay, yeah. She was mentioning that earlier. Okay, we were talking earlier. What do you mean? Okay, because I see all these people wearing gloves. Why do you say don't wear gloves?
Well, because they are wearing the same pair of gloves everywhere, so everything they touch is just on the gloves, and now they're here, now they're there, and they're touching their face, and they're
So
touching their keys, and they're digging through their purse.
Their fingers are not actually touching their face, but the gloves that have touched everything is touching them. So it's the same thing.
Everything.
Right.
So the
Just
gloves
wash your hands.
are still going to get dirty. It's not on your hands, but it's on the gloves. So it's the same thing.
And then you touch your water bottle, take your gloves off, and touch your water bottle.
Yeah.
It's the same. Just wash your hands.
Yeah. But definitely try to stay home. Try to stay positive. Wash your hands for sure.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you think about advice to people who may think it's not, it's an overreaction or something?
I don't, like she was saying with the travel nurses. I know a travel nurse in New York, and her first day took care of 9 intubated vented patients. On the regular, it is 2. So imagine being thrown into mass hysteria with 9 patients that can't breathe, and you're alone. And I mean, seeing it, like, we have communicated with doctors and nurses that are in the front lines in New York and in the big places that are dealing with it. And I think all the people, you're saying it's not a big deal, but we don't know enough about this virus yet to just brush it off. Right. People are dying, and it's a big deal.
So do you think this washing hands, social distancing, people staying at home, is that helping?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Because if you think about it, they're saying it's airborne is what they're thinking. So if we were to come to church and sit in the pews and, you're just talking within a short distance from someone and you don't know you have it, you don't have symptoms, and you spread it to the person next to you, and then they go and they have, lunch with some different friends, and then they spread it, and it
turns into wildfire.
And of course, New York is so densely populated, and that's how it got kind of so ugly right in New York City. And it may, hopefully, not get that bad here because we don't have as dense of a population. But if things do get worse, the hospitals want to be ready, but we don't want a surge of people all of a sudden in the emergency department and in our ICU, because we can handle a normal volume of people, but we can't handle 3 churches at once full of people, that number of people all at once that all need ventilators or care.
That's the biggest problem that we see right now. Is it's not that we can't help people, but it's just if it spreads so big, it overwhelms the healthcare system.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's the same with nursing homes. I've heard people say, well, why can't I go see my mom? I'm fine. She's fine in the nursing home. Well, you don't know that you're fine, and it is affecting the elderly population. So you just give it to your mom, who gives it to her roommate, who passes and passes and passes. And then we have an entire nursing home that we don't have hospital rooms for, that need ventilators, and we don't have them.
Yeah, I saw a chest x-ray of a 43-year-old guy on Sunday who had multifocal pneumonia, and he was a COVID rule out, which means we don't know the results of his test, but they suspected that he had it. And the chest x-ray looked horrendous. He was, very sick and needing oxygen, and possibly could, need to be intubated, so a breathing tube. And young guy, so had some underlying medical issues,
right.
but
they're saying it affects more of the older people, but I mean, it can affect anybody.
Yeah.
If it gets in your lungs good, the chest x-rays literally look like ground glass in your lungs, and it leaves so much scar tissue that I'm young, I'm healthy, I have no symptoms, but I can get it and I can have enough scar tissue that I'm gonna have to live the rest of my life now with COPD-like symptoms.
If you can even get off the ventilator, what happens with the COVID is that it turns into this pneumonia and all of this, what looks like mushed up cotton balls all in your lungs, and then so your lungs can't exchange the oxygen for the CO2, and I'm not going to get all into that, but your lungs can't let in and let out what it needs to. So you just, even though you're on a ventilator, which people think, oh, as long as you're on a ventilator, it's going to breathe for you, but not if your lungs aren't taking it in like it's supposed to.
Your lungs can't do it, right?
So then you get into what's called acute respiratory distress syndrome, and that has a pretty low survivability rate once you get to that point.
So it doesn't matter who you are, everybody should be careful.
Right. And especially the elderly and those with underlying medical conditions.
Now, Brittany, you mentioned a while ago about praying with the patient. Somebody asked you if you were a pastor. How have you guys, and I don't even know for sure, but how have you guys been able to share your faith, if at all, during this time with patients, with people there at the hospital?
I've been able to just, in that situation, just trying to show the hope and the optimism and just trying to bring God into it, that we're not alone in the situation. It's not just nurses and doctors and patients and everyone. God is there too, having the faith and praying to him and asking, of course, but that's helped a lot, being able to talk to patients about that. And, luckily too here, most people believe in God, but I think that it's just helped kind of people have a little bit more hope, knowing that, oh, I might believe in God over here alone, but these nurses probably don't. So when they see a nurse that just kind of is willing to talk about it, I think that's helped a lot with a lot of my patients, that they can talk about God. They don't have to think that they're in it by themselves. We can all talk about it together. I mean, we have a doctor that also will all sit in there and just like have tiny little prayer groups together.
That's cool.
Yeah. So my coworkers, we've talked about, just getting together before our shift and just, having a moment of prayer all together, just to take that time out to remember, that God is more important, and that we have to focus on him before we can even start and, go into whatever chaos might be waiting for us. And I think just showing the patients that we're human, and that, it's not all about just you're here and we're taking care of you, but showing them kind of the love of Jesus and just the little things that we can do, not just give them medications.
We're not robots.
Yeah, we're not robots that are there just taking care of, this little piece of it, but we're going to do whatever we can, whether it's, just wrapping them up, tucking them in, because they don't have their family there and they don't have, the one person that they want by their side, being there to help them emotionally. So just trying to remember that they're probably scared and they're lonely, and just we have to be that support person there for them.
Right.
And bringing prayer back into it, both for a hospital. Just the other day, all the administration, frontline staff that weren't out on the floor at the time actually lined up the entrance of Vine Beaufort outside and had a prayer meeting for the whole situation, for the hospital, for the patients, for the staff.
That's really good.
Which I thought was really awesome, that we could just circle the hospital right there. Everybody from administration to from top to bottom. Just, it was great.
How has God played a role in your life? Both of you as mothers, both of you have small kids, as nurses. What has God done to you personally? Now, not necessarily at the hospital, but how has it affected you guys personally at all? Just seeing what's going on, knowing what you have to go home to. Where have you seen God in a lot of these things?
It's definitely made you have to rely on your faith, to not just like sink into the possible depression that comes with all of it. Watching people die, and that's just as a nurse as a whole, you watch people die, and it's horrible, unexpectedly expected, but just having it's helped. I've had to rely on God to not completely freak out sometimes, to not be like, holy cow, this is just too much. So it's just a piece that's kind of been there. The first COVID patient I took care of, I was like, I don't want to do it. I just want to do it. I don't want to do it. And as soon as I garbed up and I walked in the room, I was like, he looked at me and he was like, hey. And I was like, hey, I can do it. So it was like I prayed to God before I walked in, and he was sweet. And it was, I don't know, I felt God in that room.
Right.
Just the peace in there that just kind of all washed away. And we went from there.
So like when I drive to work, I have about a 30-minute commute. So I always, turn on the radio, and it's been kind of ironic that every day on the way to work, when I turn it on to like K-Love, there'll be a pastor that they're playing, and they'll have a little blurb about anxiety and fear, and it's every time. And so I'm like, this is God speaking to me and telling me, don't be anxious, don't be afraid, that He's got me, and that I'm not in control, that He's in control. And of course, I've been trying to pray with my kids every night, and we'll specifically, I don't want to talk about it with them too much and scare them, but we'll, pray that, people who are sick with the virus get better, and that God protects them, and that He'll protect us, and, keep us and everyone we love from getting sick. So I think it's funny that it's Easter. Well, it's not funny, but it's ironic that it's Easter week. So we've been studying that with my 6-year-old, like Holy Week and what that meant. And we've been talking about, the story of Jesus from the beginning and all of that. And I read something yesterday that they predict that this week was going to be the peak for North Carolina. And so everything we've been prepping for at the hospital, they're thinking our numbers are going to really just get up there this week. And I read someone say, it's going to be a tough week for North Carolina this week, but it was a really tough week for Jesus too.
Yeah.
So I thought, that really just like brought it back for me.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, you both definitely care for people. You definitely love people, and you're helping people. And I want to thank you guys for what you do personally, not just right now, but all throughout the year. Even before this stuff started, when this stuff is all gone, you guys are still out there helping people, loving people. So thank you so much for what you do. Brittany has grown up. I've known Brittany for the last 12 years. I've watched her grow up, and all the things that she has been a part of, and we've had some fun times. We've had some interesting times. It's always been interesting for sure. But I've known her for quite a while. Her kids are involved in Awana. She has helped in Awana before and done different things like that. Hillary, she's been coming. I know her, I'm guessing maybe about a year now. But Hillary's been coming. She brings her kids Wednesday night to our Awana program. But you don't see her. A lot of you guys at church are like, Hillary, Hillary works every weekend. She works on the weekends so that she could be home during the week with her girls, which is awesome. I think that's great. But you don't see her as much. But she's been faithful Wednesday nights. These Zoom things, these video stuff. She's been very faithful with these things. And so I just love having both of you guys, as part of our church, and really, really believe that we love you. Our church loves you. I love you guys. And we pray for you guys often because we know what you're doing and know what's going on with that. And I'm thankful that you're here, thankful for what you do. And so before we go, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you guys for being here and doing this with me. I know it's kind of weird, but we made it through it. It's going to be interesting watching the playback, see how it all went. Hopefully you guys were loud enough and we made it all through there. But I want to just end this and just have a prayer together with you guys before we go. So let's pray. God, I thank you so much for Hillary, and I thank you for Brittany. And God, I thank you for what they are doing for you. God, I thank you for their job, for their work, and for their passion for it, for their helping people. And God, I just pray that you will give them protection right now, God. As they mentioned earlier, God, they are a little nervous. It is a little nerve-wracking going through these unknown times that we're going through. And so, God, I pray that you will protect the two of them. But God, not only just protect them, but God, protect their families, protect their kids, their children that they go home to at night, protect the grandparents that are babysitting the kids when they're at work. And so, God, I just pray that you will just add protection to their whole family. And God, I thank you for their willingness to serve, their willingness to go and do these things. And God, I also pray for their co-workers that they work with every day, Lord, because I know they have families that they go home to. So God, I pray that you will bless them. God, show them your love, give them comfort, give them peace. God, give them strength just to keep on going right now as it may get tougher, as days get longer, as we may be seeing this peak time right now. Lord, I pray that you will just give them the strength they need to keep on going. God, we love you. We love them. We thank you for what you're going to do through them and their ministries that they have. And so, God, just protect all of them and their families. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. We made it through. Thank you, guys. And thank you guys for watching. Be sure you share this. Let everybody know what's going on. And you get a chance, give these guys a call, send them a card, something. Just let them know you love them, you're praying for them. So anyway, thank you guys so much.
If we're gonna fly, we fly like eagles. Unstoppable. If we're gonna fear, we fear no evil. We will rise. By your power, we will go. By your spirit, we are bold. If we're gonna stand, we stand as giants. If we're gonna walk, we walk as lions.
I might pick my kids, but I'm not gonna pick your leaders out.
All right. You got anything else, Brittany, before we?
I have like a self-conscious,
I
like,
know. So does
I have a
Morgan. Morgan
nervous,
does
like,
this.
thing.
She flips her hair if she's performing.
All right. So Brittany, okay, we have to start it over because she's laughing already and she knows what's going to
you're
happen.
laughing.
It's because I know what's coming too.
I just can't see y'all because I look right at those lights.
What is it that you love about it?
I don't. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so that was one. Because I can always cut in between these.
Not about pulling yourself from under. You just like pull it. Just like walk away and I come back. I'm like, all right, I'm just kidding.